Welcome to Unit 1, Contract Law Overview. For those of you that took the Law of Contracts class previously, this will be a lot of review in this chapter, but there will be some learning objectives that you will need to focus on. Identify the essential elements of a valid contract, explain the difference between valid, void, unenforceable, unilateral, bilateral. What's the difference between an amendment and an addendum? An amendment is something that is a change to the contract. An addendum is something that is added to the contract. So it's really key to understand which of those are to be used and when they're appropriate. Like a third-party addendum, that's identifying, what type of loan someone is getting. So an amendment would be a change to a date if you need to extend a closing date or change who's buying. Some people may want to buy as an individual, then let's say life experience changes and they get married, then they need to add a significant other to the contract. In commercial side of things, maybe they assign it to an entity such as an LLC, things of that nature. So learning how to adjust those and which ones to use are key to making sure that you're representing your client, whichever side of the transaction you're on, to the best of your ability, and putting the appropriate information in there. You're also going to talk about time is of the essence, or reasonable amount of time. So, there are certain addendas and amendments that will have those phrases in there, and we talked about it in the previous course, but making sure that you follow up and have things done at the appropriate times can be the difference between a contract being terminated versus seeing it all the way through to the finish line. You also are going to focus on statute of limitations, the difference between a written and oral agreement. We call them verbal. I'm going to give you a verbal offer. Those are great, and you may agree to everything, and sometimes you do a verbal just so you can get all the things lined out so that you have a cleaner contract when it comes in. It's not scratched out. It doesn't require a ton of initials for all the changes and things of that nature. But in some cases, in today's market, if you're not putting a written offer in, it's a tough, verbal is only going to get you so far. People want to see things in writing because it's competitive and they need to see everything in front of them. And when you go present to a seller 4 different contracts, you need to be able to compare apples to apples. This contract is asking for this contract is doing this, and so it is always better to have a written contract in place. And then you're going to figure out how to terminate a contract within this chapter. So good luck, and we'll see you in Unit 2.